Welcome everybody to the 20th of November 2023 Council meeting. I open the meeting at 7 o'clock. I'll now pass on to our CEO, Ms Alison Beckwith, who will read out the formalities.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome all to this ordinary meeting of Council. My name is Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at Banyule. Tonight's meeting is being held in person in accordance with the provision of Council's governance rules and the Local Government Act 2020. The meeting is also being live streamed via Council's website and Facebook page. The live stream is not interactive. Any comments or private messages directed to us while the live stream is active will have no bearing on tonight's meeting nor be presented to the council or group while the meeting's in conduct. Council's request to speak process continues to allow participations of our residents without having to attend the meeting in person. Rules for public participation during the meeting are stated in Chapter 3 of the Governance Rules. Please note that Council recently adopted a new Chapter 3, Community Participation, Council meetings in its Governance Rules, and changes have been made to the public question time. Public question time will occur at the conclusion of the meeting. Council's Manager of Governance and Integrity, Ms Kristen Fort, will ask the submitter if they are present and in the gallery. If they are present, the preamble and background information of each question, if provided, will be read out by Council's Manager, Governance and Integrity. They'll be asked whether they would like to read out their question or have it read out by Council's Manager, Governance and Integrity. Only the question submitted can be read out, no further information. If the question submitter is not present at the end of the meeting, the question will not be read out and the question and answer will be made available in the minutes following the meeting. No questions of clarification from councillors are permitted to be asked to the question submitter or in relation to the officer response during the public question time. A 2-minute time limit applies to all requests to speak. The timer will be used and a warning will sound at the 1.5 minute mark, and officers will sum up in the last 30 seconds if required for statements being read out by officers. Council does not accept any questions as part of the request to speak process. No statement may be derogatory, defamatory or directed to an individual councillor, member of staff, ratepayer or member of the public. We ask that members of the gallery please check their phones and ensure that it's either switched off or on silent mode to avoid any disruptions to tonight's meeting. If any members of the public gallery depart the chamber while the meeting is still in progress, we ask that you please do not hold conversation with others until you're outside the building. The noise in the foyer area and downstairs reverberate into this chamber and impact on the live streaming. So I thank you in advance for that if you indeed intend to leave earlier than we are tonight. I'll now introduce the councillors in attendance tonight and I'll start on my left. So we have Councillor Peter Castaldo, Councillor Fiona Mitsonikos, Councillor Alison Champion, and to the councillors to my right, the Mayor, Councillor Tom Melican, Councillor Alida McKern, Councillor Elizabeth Neely and Councillor Mark Di Pasquale. This evening we are also joined by Council's executive team. We have Mark Giglio, Director of Corporate Services, Natasha Swan, Director of City Development, and Darren Bennett, Director of Assets and City Services. And to my left, Kath Brackett, Director of Community Wellbeing. Tonight we're also supported by Council's governance team, IT team and communications team in ensuring that tonight's live stream and meeting goes to plan. I'll now pass on to you, the Mayor, but I thank you all for attending tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'd first like to acknowledge the traditional owners. Our meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri Wurrung people. On behalf of Banyule Council, I wish to acknowledge them as traditional custodians and also like to pay my respects to any Wurundjeri Wurrung elders, past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders joining us today. And Banyule's diversity statement. Council is committed to the values and diversities within our community. I will now read out our annual diversity statement that demonstrates our commitment. Our community is made up of diverse cultures, beliefs, abilities, bodies, sexualities, age and genders. We are committed to access, equality, participation and the rights of everyone, principles that empower, foster harmony and increase the well-being of an inclusive community. Apologies. We have Councillors Peter Dimiros and Councillor Rick Garodio, both apologies tonight. Leave of absence, there are none. Confirmation of the minutes for the ordinary meeting held on the 30th of October and the statutory mirror election held on the 13th of November. Could I please have a councillor move those minutes, please? Moved Councillor Neely, seconded Councillor Costello. All those in favour? That is carried. Disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest between councillors tonight? There are none. Disclosure of interest for the staff. Are there any disclosure of interest from staff? There are none. Urgent items of business. There are no urgent items of business, so we'll move on to petitions. The first petition is regarding the North East Link design. Benjamin Biro, stop the split of Watsonia by North East Links Community Group, will address the council in person. Welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for your time this evening and for considering the petition as we seek a better solution to the Watsonia section of North East Link. Watsonia is the only suburb not getting a tunnel that was originally proposed by the independent panel in its report in 2019. The panel proposed a tunnel all the way to Grimshaw Street. I thank Council for their advocacy and promoting an alternative solution through the Lead the Link campaign. I supported those designs and was disappointed it did not appear in the Northern Package design plans and that they didn't include any of Banyule Council's suggestions. The current trench design for Watsonia, I believe, will further divide our community with only some bridges combining the two parts of our suburb. Due to this and my belief that there was community discontent with the designs, less than a month ago I set up the Stop the Split of Watsonia by North East Link Community Group and the petition you are considering tonight. I have been humbled by the support we have received. Due to the work of our incredible volunteers and the support of Nick McGowan, we have over 370 signatures, 320 online and 50 written. Despite this, we need Council's support to have our voice be heard. Our petition closes this Sunday. Given the alignment, I request that Council utilise their communication channels to support this community campaign, including those channels through the Lead the Link campaign and any other mechanism it sees fit. This is a once-in-a-lifetime project. There are no second chances. I would like the community, council and the state government to partner together and work out a better solution for our community. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. Janelle Devine has recorded a message which will be now played, please.
Just bear with us while we sort out the sound of the audio.
Not going too well.
Maybe while the sound's being looked at, we might move to the third speaker for tonight, Mayor.
Yes, we have a written statement from Cara Barnett, which will be read, who is speaking in favour of the recommendation and will be read out by Community Director Kath Brackett. Thank you, Kath.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. The North East Link is the most significant investment the Victorian Government has put into Watsonia in the past 50 years, and most likely will be over the next 50 years also. It is extremely disappointing that the most recent plans take away the green space which was initially proposed for the area. The community is already being significantly impacted by the works, and the open trench proposal will see no benefit of the North East Link to the Watsonia neighbourhood. In fact, it will be to the local community's detriment as it divides the neighbourhood. The green lid proposed by Banyule Council is to be commended and will provide significantly more community health, wellbeing and business outcomes than the current proposal by North East Link. After speaking to a number of residents over the last week, many were not aware of the changes and the significant divide. It would be great if Council and the Stop the Split of Watsonia residents groups can jointly advocate to the Victorian Government for further consideration of the Council's proposal.
Thank you very much. There is a officer recommendation. Oh, sorry, we'll go back to the video. Have we worked out the difficulties? 2 secs. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, have we worked out the difficulties?
Pippa Griffith
2
from
secs.
Ivanhoe
Thanks,
East.
Andrew. Yeah, have we
Pippa Griffith from Ivanhoe East. I'm asking you to consider carefully all of the submissions, mine's number 6, about the sale of the Hordern Street Hall, and in particular these points.
This is the wrong one.
Sorry, it's the wrong one. Wrong item. That's the Hordern Street Hall submissions.
Good evening, Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the Banyule Council. My name is Janelle Devine and I live in Greensborough. I speak to you to address a matter of great significance to our community, the petition for a cover on the North East Link Watsonia section. As a resident of this vibrant community, we must advocate for measures that prioritise the well-being of our neighbourhoods and the people who call them home. The North East Link is undoubtedly a crucial infrastructure project promising enhanced connectivity and economic benefits. However, as responsible stewards of our environment and community, we must ensure that progress does not come at the expense of the quality of life for our residents. On a personal level, we live in Nell Street on the east side with my toddler going to daycare in Watsonia and zoned for the primary school on the other side. There remains no direct pedestrian bike path delivering residents from the east to west side of North East Link into Watsonia Town Square, with cycling paths weaving up and around to get from one side to the other. When moving to the area, we believed that the North East Link would be a tunnel through to Grimshaw Street. I was shocked to see the proposed open trench that will be at the end of our street between my home and son's future school. We fully supported the Live the Link campaign and feel that community feedback, while asked for, has not been considered. Plans show 18 lanes between Watsonia Road and Elder Street. No other residential community along the North East Link will experience such a massive loss of amenity. I fully support the Stop the Split petition and have volunteered with my family to deliver flyers to the community to spread this essential message. I implore Council to support this important issue before it's too late. The proposal to install a lid on the Watsonia section of the North East Link is a commendable step towards mitigating the potential adverse effects of this major project. By placing a lid, we aim not only to minimise noise and air pollution, but also create green spaces that enhance our community's aesthetics and recreational opportunities. This will also close the geographical gap and bring the community together. I urge the Banyule Council to champion this cause, to advocate for a...
Thank you very much. Sorry about the technical details, but I think it's important that those people are given the opportunity to speak in any method they can use. I think we should take advantage of. We've heard those speakers. There is a motion on the agenda. Is there a council prepared to move that motion? Move Councillor Di Pasquale. Seconded Councillor Miskonishkos.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to move this evening that we receive the petition, and that's what I'm going to be voting on this evening. There's also another agenda item, 6.1, which will be dealing with the urban design and landscape plan. So those who are here for this petition can also remain for that. There we will have more discussion. Thank you very much for the speakers for their contribution. And thank you very much for your contact through the last couple of weeks as well. Really, on behalf of the community, or my community particularly, the Bakewell ward, which is Greensborough area and now encompasses the Watsonia area, so it's basically right through where the split is going to be taking place. The North East Link project is a welcome project in that the majority of Banyule residents supported the project. They supported the project when it was first announced, and they also supported it at the last state election when they returned the Bundoora State member Colin Brooks and the Ivanhoe State member Anthony Carbines to office again. My hope is that this petition catches the Honourable Colin Brooks's ear, captures his attention, and he recommends to his party and to Parliament that putting a cover on the Watsonia section is a good idea. The Greensborough bypass was built 35 years ago, and it brings road traffic from the outer northeast suburbs and the M80 Ring Road to Greensborough Road, which is a two-lane road at Watsonia as it then travels down past the Army Barracks and then into Lower Plenty Road. Basically, back in 1988, 5 lanes was squeezed into the 2 old road lanes at Watsonia. And at that time, possibly was a temporary measure for what should have been done many years later. So probably at that time, not a very good design and a bit half-baked, I'm sure you can agree. The North East Link now will complete the link with the capacity it needs for years to come, but Watsonia will be sacrificed again. So instead of running more of the road under land and lidding the link, Watsonia will be used once again to make the project work in the cheapest way possible. Honourable Colin Brooks, this is a really good opportunity to really look after the Watsonia community, your electorate, and return more land than road for our community. I hope you hear this petition. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. Just briefly, because I think Councillor Di Pasquale summed it all up pretty well. I just actually wanted to also thank all of our speakers and for this petition. I live very local to the roadworks as well, and it's going to be a long 7 years. The petitions like this show that residents are concerned, they're frustrated, and they want to be heard. So, yeah, I'm happy to support this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? I'll put that motion in the name of Councillor Di Pasquale. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 3.1, record of council meetings. There are no speakers. I'll look for a councillor to move the motion as per the papers. Move Councillor Di Pasquale and seconded Councillor Neely. Would you like to make some comments?
No comments, Mayor.
Okay. I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to 78 to 80 Horden Street, Heidelberg, notice of intention to sell. There has been a slight area in the prior to this report coming to council that some of the people that put submissions in weren't notified of tonight's meeting and the hearing of these submissions, and it's likely that this item will be adjourned to the next council meeting. But there are 2 people listed to speak, so I'll give them the opportunity to speak, or they can choose to speak at the next time. The first person to speak is Pippa Griffiths. Is Pippa here?
By audio.
Oh, sorry. No, she's by order, so we'll hear Pippa speak if that's all right.
I'm asking you to consider carefully all of the submissions, mine's number 6, about the sale of the Hordern Street Hall, and in particular these points. Firstly, the loss of this community facility without any reasonable alternative within the Heidelberg Major Activity Centre is contrary to a number of existing council policies. And given the projected increase in population in Heidelberg and the adjacent precincts, this is a particularly unwise and short-sighted action. More of these facilities will be needed. It will produce a short-term financial gain for this council, which is unnecessary, and some future council will inherit the longer-term pain of needing to acquire facilities to enhance livability and ensure a thriving neighbourhood. Secondly, the closest alternatives, Belfield and the old Shire offices, are both outside the major activity centre. Neither is fit for place for Heidelberg, as they are not in the 20-minute neighbourhood of many residents or serviced by good public transport. The distance, 2.5 and 1.8 kilometres respectively, topography, and that neither is in a safe walking environment after dark, is encouraging people to drive instead of promoting more walking. In contrast, the Hordern Street Hall in the heart of the major activity centre is walkable from much of the surrounding area. Thirdly, it is a key strategy of councils in the Banyule Community Vision 2421 to spend more on fixing existing infrastructure rather than building anything new. So council should be fixing up the Hordern Street Hall to make it suitable for the future rather than selling it off and having to find somewhere new. So please consider these before your final decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia Curry, would you like to speak? Thank you.
Mayor, councillors, I speak against the sale of 78 to Hordern Street. The sale of the Hordern Street Hall would be unacceptable outcome to the public. My submission is on page 5, submission number 5 on page 11 through 14, and I made 20 valid points as to why this hall shouldn't be sold, and I also included excerpts from a number of council policies which contradicts what the action is tonight. In addition to my submission previously, I would like to really focus now on the economic impact of this hall. So noting that the many users of this hall add to the economic success of Banyule. There's a cohesion there of the people that come to Heidelberg and from surrounding areas, and the suggestion is that you're going to take this away from Heidelberg, so there's economic impact to the groups that use this hall, and there's also economic impact to the surrounding small businesses. And I noted in previous council meetings of May and September that they were briefly touched on by the user group, saying that they have cohesion with other businesses. Now around Belfield, whether you're talking the Shire offices, the Net Stadium, the Watsonia, they have less impact. Heidelberg, again, is the highest growing area in Banyule, and specifically the groups that use this hall are not only adding to the sustainability of the area, but key demographics from 0 to 5 and the older adults are demographics that this hall particularly caters for, and that should be a serious consideration for council. And I know this may be deferred tonight because I requested that it hadn't gone through correct notification. So if you could take this into consideration, I would like to see a better outcome for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry you may have to do it all again next week, next meeting. I'll look for a councillor move an alternate recommendation, please. Councillor Castaldo.
I'll be moving an amendment. I'll wait for that to be shown on the board there. That the council defer item 3.2 until the 11th of December 2023 council meeting to enable invitations to be sent to those that provided written submissions to speak to their individual submission. So moved.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Neely. Councillor Costello.
Yeah, this is an important site. It's highly valued. We need to make sure we undergo the appropriate processes to have a full assessment of this site, and so that's why we'll be moving to push this out to the next council meeting and enable everyone to have their full opportunity to participate in the process.
Thank you. Further comment? There's no further comment. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 3.3, insurance renewal analysis for 2023-24. There are no speakers. There is a recommendation. I believe there's an alternate recommendation. Would someone like to move that alternate recommendation? Councillor Di Pasquale.
Mayor, before I do move this item, may I please ask a question of the appropriate officer? The understanding of work cover premiums, calculations, percentages, it might be a little bit foreign to the community. Could we please have a summary of actually what's gone on in this situation, please? Thank you.
The appropriate director. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Yeah, I think the work cover premium paid by organisations, including, I guess, local government and therefore Banyan City Council, is made up of a number of components. It's made up of a rate that's levied out to businesses. It also includes a sector rate as well. So, for example, in that case, it would be local government, so they have their own sector based on the risk associated with local government activities, but also on claims experience for this council. So, as you can see there from the amendment on there, that it has gone from 1.2% to 1.8%. That's the general remuneration percentage rate for all businesses. And therefore, local government has also been levied that increase as well.
Thank you. Are there any further questions?
No further questions.
Any other questions? As the mover, would you like to speak to the item?
So moved.
So moved, Councillor Di Pasquale, and seconded. We need a seconder for this. Oh, Councillor Costello, thank you. Councillor Di Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you for the explanation, Director. I really do appreciate that. Very technical area with regards to insurances and what it all means. In short, the amount that council has to pay for the insurance scheme, the work cover insurance scheme, has gone up. Okay, so what this means for this council is taking this into account in the current budget and also the upcoming budgets. So I think that's going to be the major difference that the community sees of how we actually deal with this going forward, how we manage this in the current budget and how we then manage it in budgets going forward. So it's not that we would like to have these types of imposts brought back to council, and we don't want the community paying these types of increases because if that does occur over and over again, it would just be unsustainable. So we need to be fully aware of what this is. This is an essential cost. Okay, all staff do need this type of insurance. So we'll be managing this very closely through this budget and also through the next budget as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comment? Councillor Costello.
Just like to note that Councillor Gorotti couldn't be here tonight, but he was very keen to highlight the additional cost to council, which is over $1 million. As hard as we might try and predict the coming or forecast the coming year costs to our community, it's very difficult to anticipate these types of shifts, and in this case it's a significant amount, and so we have to be really mindful of these risks going into each budget and exercise the amount of budgetary restraint, and I think this is highlighting some of the challenges we have as a council, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? I'll put that in the name of Councillor Di Pasquale. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to the next item, but before I do, I'd just like to give a bit of a shout out to one of our staff members, Megan, who is watching online tonight, and I hope she's enjoying herself. I should have done it at the start of the meeting. Sorry. We'll move on to item 3.4, the Quarterly Financial Management Report to September 2023. There are no speakers. I'll look for Councillor to move a motion. Councillor Neely, seconded Councillor Di Pasquale. Oh, that's right, sorry. There was a slight amendment, an additional point. Could you read that out, please, Councillor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just 1 to 4 as is, and part 5, to request officers to bring back a report on options to reduce legal expenditure at future council meetings. Yes.
Move Councillor Neely, the second. Happy with that? Thank you. Would you like to comment, Councillor Neely?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I note that Council has forecasted a significant reduction of income from fees and charges, which relates mainly to the waste transfer station. There's been lots of discussion there, and this has been a challenge where the operations had either temporarily closed or not accepted commercial customers. So we hope that this will be rectified as soon as possible. From an expenditure point of view, I note that employee costs are forecasted to be well over budget. Officers have explained that this has been a reclassification from the materials and services category, and it relates to the implementation of our digital transformation strategy. All councillors have been briefed on the amount and type of legal costs in its operations, and I think that there is opportunity to get better value for money for our ratepayers. So that's why I know Councillor Garotti's not here, but he requested that this fifth amendment to be added to the resolution. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comment? Councillor Di Pasquale.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of comments that. Currently the budget is tracking unfavourably. It is actually in deficit. So this is, as an example here, point 5 is to really put a highlight on an expense, which are legal expenditure. We could probably list many other things there, Mayor, that we would be putting a highlight on. Pretty much everything is being looked at the moment. And it was quite evident at our last budget process. We were understanding that the cost of living, the cost of delivering good quality services by the council is going up, so we need to be very wary. The next budgets are going to be very difficult, I must say, very difficult to balance how we're going to manage service level and expectation level from the community, and also make sure that we deliver to them value for money or value for their rate dollar and every single dollar. So we'll be working really, really hard to make sure that we can be accountable and responsible to them, because in the end they're the ones who decide to put us here. They're the ones who decide to have this council formed and be making these decisions on their behalf. If we don't do a good job, well, it will be left to other people to do that job. So yeah, we're fully committed as a team to make sure we put a highlight on all expenditure and do the best we possibly can in the upcoming budgets. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Further speakers?
I'll just make a point of note that there's an error in that.
You'd like to? Sorry.
Can I just make a point of note that there's an error in that recommendation, that point 3 should read to deliver an operating surplus of 16.3 and the adopted budget surplus of 16.959, not deficit in both of those areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, very important pick up there. Thank you very much. So that's been moved by Councillor Neely, seconded, and any other speakers? I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 3.5, Audit and Risk Committee meeting. Minutes from the 22nd of September meeting. There are no speakers. Look for a council to move a motion. Councillor Neely, seconded. Councillor Castaldo. Would you like to comment, Councillor Neely?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Prior to each September Audit and Risk Committee meeting, the VAGO appointed external auditor and the internal auditor meets with the committee in the absence of council management. So both internal and external auditors advised there were no matters of concern, and council has been forthcoming in all information requested during reviews. So during the September committee meeting, the chairperson commended council officers for the detailed professional reports within the 404-page agenda. The most notable report was the annual report ending June 2023. The committee congratulated management on the report and its clean closing report with no audit adjustments, assuring a seamless review. There were no issues or concerns on the performance statements, and no material disclosures have been identified. Since the meeting, the final report has been circulated to the committee and tabled at the Ordinary Council meeting at the end of October. Another report included the performance review of the internal audit service provider, which assessed council's internal auditor, Pitcher Partners, against the internal audit charter, which sets out the purpose, the roles, the responsibilities, the scope, independence, authority, and standards of internal audit. So overall, the meeting was beneficial. Council continues to provide assurance to both the independent members as well as the councillor representatives, Mayor, on the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor McKeown.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out that a prime role of council is strategic development. Strategic development and its implementation. But with strategic development, which is essentially the implementation of visions for our municipality, comes risk. A major aim of the Audit and Risk Committee is to manage the risks. Strategy and risk are inseparable, and they need to be aligned to drive sound strategic decisions. Because of it, I think that Audit and Risk Committee is one that all councillors should find a way to be involved in. And whilst we do have delegates, and I don't think this needs to be a formalised motion, Mayor, but I would encourage all councillors to attend Audit and Risk Committee to understand what happens at those meetings and how we manage risk and how we set the risk appetite for this council. So I would ask that all the councillors' calendars are populated with Audit and Risk Committees for the upcoming year, so that we know in advance as councillors when these meetings are and can make an effort to attend. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to the CEO Employment and Remuneration Policy and CEO Employment Matters Terms of Reference Review. There are no speakers. I'll look for a councillor to move a motion. Moved, Councillor Champion. Seconded, Councillor Di Pasquale. Comment?
There is actually a slight amendment, which I might mention while we're here. Point 1, pretty much as is, with a slight addition, and in accordance with any proposed Chief Executive Officer employment and remuneration framework that is in place. And point 2, as is.
Thank you very much. Was the seconder happy with that alteration?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Comment, Councillor Champion?
Oh, look, just a small one. There was an observation that the policy needed to be modified slightly, so I'd like to thank our Governance Officer, Kristen, helping us with this. I'd like to thank our Chair as well as my fellow councillors. There were lengthy conversations about this late into the evening, so into a couple of evenings. So we have finally come together with our policy and our terms of reference, and we're now really happy with what we have for not only our current CEO but also those in the future. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just update to the policy that is probably one of our most important jobs as councillors, we have the it's our responsibility to employ, to select the right candidate for our CEO and employ them on behalf of the city. And this is an update to that policy. Thank you very much to Kristen and the governance team also for your guidance through this process. Yeah, we'll use this policy going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to our Advisory and Population Committee report, July to October. There are no speakers. There is a slight amendment proposed. What's the move of Councillor Champion? Would you mind reading out the amendment? Thank you.
I can do that. So 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D, 6A, 6B are as is. There is an additional point 5, which is 5E. Council notes the correction to the 5th of October 2023 LGBTIQA+ committee minutes that Councillor Champion chaired the meeting from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Councillor Castaldo chaired the remainder of the meeting from 7 to 7:25, and the minutes are available on Council's website. Will be updated to reflect this change. So moved, Mayor. Thank you.
Move, Councillor Champion. Is there a second for that motion? Councillor Castaldo. Is there a comment, please?
Look, just to say thank you very much for all our community who contribute to these committees. This obviously is a small item that acknowledges the number of meetings that we hold, who is present, who is chairing. All councillors have the opportunity to be delegates on these meetings, as well as substitutes is the word. It turns out in the last 12 months I've actually been the substitute for the LGBTIQA+ committee, and I have attended quite a few of the meetings as a substitute. I didn't need to be there, but it's one of the very enjoyable committees that we have. They're very dedicated, this particular committee, as many of our committees are. So thank you very much to all our community members who participate in these committees and provide ideas and recommendations for us to go forward as a council with on behalf of their community. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comment? Councillor Costa. Any further? Councillor Di Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. I see that in the amendment that Councillor Champion was running the meeting from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and then Councillor Castaldo jumped in the seat, and then it was more efficient meeting. Much more efficient. I don't know what happened there, but I think that's absolutely fantastic. Just a slight amendment there, but really what I would like to highlight is I think the importance of these committees is that, so we have the inclusive committee, we also have the 4 main population committees, and then we have, I think, 3 other committees. And we continually get this report as a one report which encompasses all those committees and all the recommendations and all the minutes and everything like that. So I would like to see that we actually separate the reporting of the population committees individually, so that they can all be given their due understanding of the conversations that they're having. And then when recommendations are coming up to this council, then we may get a recommendation where speakers might want to add, or members of the community might want to add their ideas to that as well, and that won't detract from any of the other committees. So we did have a little bit of discussion about this in the past, and hopefully that's what I would like to see. I would like to see these to be probably separated out. That will mean there'll be a little bit more time possibly that will be spent these coming to council, but I think this is a very important part of what this council does and what the community does for this council and for the community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Further comment? I'll put that all... Oh, Councillor McCann.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring our attention to points 5, C and D with regards to flag raising. We note that the LGBTQIA are seeking the flag be raised every day of the year, and that a report will be coming back from officers with respect to that request. I think it'd be interesting, Mayor, for the public to know that we actually do fly flags on 4 poles, and we have the Australian flag, if I'm correct, the Aboriginal flag and Torres Strait Islanders flag on 3 of the 4, and the 4th is kept for celebrating or acknowledging various community events and interest groups. And they do arise, we celebrate many of these events from disability through to BTQIA+. The flag policy that we have in terms of who makes the decision to fly a flag is delegated to the CEO, and it is important that the flags we fly are aligned to our council policies. So it will be an interesting report that we seek from the officers coming back as to how we fly the flags on that 4th pole, whether it's a continuous flag or whether we should actually be considering other organisations' celebrations and needs in our community and share that 4th pole. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? That should have been in favour, not flavour, but thank you. That is carried. We'll move on to a very important item, the Creative Banyule Proposed Art and Culture Strategy 2023 to 2031. There is an officer recommendation there. I'll look for a move Councillor Neely, seconded Councillor Costello. Comment?
Thank you, Mayor. This strategy is about building on Council's arts and culture program over the next decade, and the strategy creates a focused direction, a strong foundation to grow arts and culture outputs across Banyule. A key takeaway for the community is to note the growing interest in public art and local community festivals and events. The community management component to this strategy was really strong, as written in the report, through the surveys, through the focus groups, and there is ongoing increased participation from the community at events. I'd like to thank Hannes, Georgie, the team for all the work they've done on this. I'm excited to see an increase in the breadth and depth of these programs for the community. It's great work. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to comment?
I'd just like to thank all those that participated in this development of this important strategy. It's so important to have the arts in Banyule and increase the richness of the experience for all our residents. So I'm really glad to see this come to Council, a 10-year vision, and I'm really happy to see an annual action plan that can respond to the changes in our community's needs and the opportunities that present themselves over the journey of the next 10 years. So I think I'm really thankful for all the participants and very supportive of the approach taken in this strategy. So congratulations to the officers in our presence this evening and everyone else that may be listening that participated. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Di Pasquale.
Mayor, I wanted to move this one. I was eager to move this one because I think it's really, really good. Hannes, Georgie, thank you very much for being here this evening, and your team as well, bringing this forward to us. It is it's the arts and culture that make this community, I think, what it is. It's the history of this culture. This is why people move here. This is why people live here, and this is why it is such a fantastic place to bringing up one's children, because there's such culture. I have noticed that there's new paintings up. I think that's a new one on there. We have so many that we are blessed that the council do hold on behalf of the community as well. And now we have appropriate spaces to be showing at the art, the Ivanhoe Centre and the galleries there. So yeah, keep up the good work. Thank you very much on behalf of the community. Thank you, Mayor.
Further comments? I'd just like to also thank the team. A great job again. And I was listening to this thing the other day where they were talking about arts and culture, and they were saying that arts and culture is actually an investment in our future. It shouldn't be seen as an expense. And I thought that was a very good sentiment to approach it, because when times are tough, it's easy to say, let's cut back on arts, let's cut back on culture, but if we did that, we wouldn't have this beautiful hall, we wouldn't have this the beautiful legacies of all these paintings. So arts and culture is actually an investment, and in troubled times, it's our culture that supports us and inspires us and enables us to continue. So well done, and thank you very much for your efforts today. I'll put that, all those in favour? Thank you. Do you want to walk out to a standing ovation, or do you want to sit there? No, thank you very much, George. We'll move on to item 4.3, Olympic Leisure Centre report on program visitation and community engagement. There are no speakers. I'd look for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor McKern, seconded. Councillor Kaniskos. Councillor McKern, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Mayor. Originally, the draft Banyule Aquatic Strategy, which was produced about 3 years ago now, recommended closure of the Olympic pool at Olympic Leisure Centre, due largely to close proximity to Ivanhoe Pool, only 800 metres apart, low usage numbers, and also the high maintenance costs, which were largely subsidised by council. A co-design process ensued with the Heidelberg West community, and the community advocated very effectively for retention of the pool and its associated programs. When council adopted the Banyule Aquatic Strategy earlier this year, consequently, Olympic Leisure Centre was absorbed into the pool hierarchy, and we still maintain all the pools that we have done for a considerable amount of time, including Ivanhoe, Watermark, and I think we might have a small one in Watsonia. Tonight, what we're being asked to do is to continue the internal analysis and investigation into the feasibility of the Olympic Leisure Centre co-design vision. I think it's appropriate, Mayor, particularly given that my understanding is that it is still being heavily subsidised. Whilst I appreciate that there are a number of programs which might be unique to the centre, we do, as Councillor Di Pasquale was alluding to earlier, have tough budgets ahead of us, and we need to be able to rationalise where we can for the benefit of the greater community. So a future report will be coming back to this council in late 2024 regarding the feasibility of OLC, and we hope that the investigations will result in more effective and efficient programming for that leisure centre, if indeed it's decided that it should stay as it is in its current running and format. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Kaniskos.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, having been the chair of the Multicultural Committee for the last few years, Friday night women's-only sessions for new and emerging communities are incredibly important for these women of the communities of Heidelberg West. They wouldn't be able to participate in swimming if these sessions weren't run, obviously for cultural reasons, and they take their kids with them. And it's very important that kids learn to swim, especially in Australia. We're surrounded by water. So, yeah, it's important that we do continue to work with emerging residents in Heidelberg West to plan programs suitable for their needs. Thank you.
Thank you, further. Thank you. Councillor Zindikos. I'll put that. All those in favour?
Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Di Pasquale.
Sorry, Mayor. May I comment? Please. This investigation, or this continuation of this investigation, possibly, if this is voted for this evening. So sometimes council look at feasibilities, services in the community, and sometimes it's black and white. Sometimes it's, okay, it's just not of good value or it's too expensive. I don't believe this falls into the category of either of those. I think there's a lot of grey area here where there could be a lot of benefit that we need to be possibly thinking about for the community, where the community have access to a facility that is less expensive than our flagship Watermark or Ivanhoe Aquatic. Honestly, if I'm thinking about our entire community, and I'm thinking about all socio-economic levels within our community, it's almost at a level where those who want to take their families to a Watermark or a Ivanhoe Aquatic, it's too expensive. So to have another option, and another option that is so close to Darebin as well, that could be servicing that community too. We could be actually bringing in revenue to this municipality from across the river, which is stone's throw away. I think we should give this the time and do the correct feasibility to see if it can be promoted correctly, possibly to the right areas of the community to get use. And then we'll see whether it, at the moment it's costing the community around about $1 million a year. If it can be much less than that and it can deliver services to the community who need it the most, this is what I'd be looking for. So thank you, Mayor.
Any further comments? Exactly right. I think agreed for those comments. So I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 4.4, Greensborough Baseball Club batting cage additional funding request. We have one speaker tonight, Sharon Flintock. I know you've been told it's 3 minutes, but it's only 2, but if you go over, that'll be fine. So good luck and don't be nervous.
I am. So good evening, Mayor and councillors. So my name's Sharon. I'm a life member of Greensborough Baseball Club. Greensborough Baseball Club has been a part of the community since 1955 and is known as the family club. We have a large membership base, with Greensborough being one of the only clubs to have a supporter base of past players and their families. We just finished our winter season, fielding 3 men's teams and our very first standalone women's team, which I headed up, so I was very proud of that. We also had 2 standalone junior teams. After COVID, we sort of dropped numbers, so we're building up, and that was really great for us to be able to field those teams. We have been predominantly a winter club, but recently in 2022 and 2023, we ventured out into the summer season, and we've been able to field a team in both last season and this season. So we have been involved in the Council Watsonia Fair for our recruitment, and are looking to field more men's, women's and junior teams this coming winter season. We're asking for the extra funds to build our batting cage, as our existing cage is unsafe. Our club has grown since the first grant was issued, and the cage is in need even more now. The club has recently put $20,000 into upgrading the existing lights to LED to be more sustainable and cost effective, and this has greatly improved the safety of our members. With the lights and a new batting cage, it will greatly improve our club and allow us to grow and train in all conditions. This will be a great investment by the council for Greensborough, making the future of our club even more sustainable. So hopefully you'll grant us the extra funds, and I look forward to working with council on this. Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you very much, Sharon. You did well. Are there any questions from councillors? Look for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Di Pasquale. Seconded, Councillor Champion. Comments? Councillor Dubin. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Sharon, for coming in and speaking this evening. You did a really good job. There's no need to be nervous, was there? It's good. It's always good to know the history. So thank you very much for laying out the history once again, because, you know, even as a councillor who we get many reports, and it brings us through the background of clubs and organisations, it's still refreshing to hear once again the number of years, the number of, you know, how clubs like this make our community or have made our community. It's quite a It's quite a simple situation we are in tonight, councillors. And if we go through the report, as it was delivered to us, the budget submission that was put forward by the club originally was insufficient, I should say. It was just not it's almost like it was a back of the envelope sort of, wish of can we have a roof on our batting cage so that when it rains we can still train? But unless, and this is where officers come in, officers understand exactly what are the impediments of a project, what are the obligations, what is needed for current standards. So sometimes when clubs come to the council and say, hey, we would just like this, sometimes those feasibilities need to be nutted out a little bit more. And sometimes they may perceive to be a little bit more expensive than what they first were. But that's part of the process, and we see that across the board in many, many situations through the budget process. So I'm looking forward to, I'm going to be in high support of this tonight. I think this is a very good forward movement for the club in comparison to the two other baseball clubs in the municipality who have had upgrades. This will keep them up to that standard now. I couldn't think of anything worse on a rainy winter's evening trying to get out there with baseballs and pitching at a batter, and then once the ball goes out into the wet, it's just... So having it in a cage, having it under a roof, it just keeps it dry, and then it can continue getting better and competitive against other clubs as well, and then attract more juniors, more women's teams as well, and that's what we're all about here with regards to participation. So thank you very much for coming in and presenting. Also just want to mention there are a couple of other, the club is right next to the Watsonia Tennis Club, which has had some really good input there with regards to inclusivity, access. So there's really good work that the officers are doing, showing us improvements that can be made to make sure that we're giving access to more participation in this community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Would the seconder like to speak? Councillor Champion.
I will say a few words. Thank you very much, Mayor. Sharon, thank you very much for coming in this evening. It's lovely to put a face to a name. It is actually true that improvements in facilities actually increase numbers, and it has been seen through just Banyule Council's buildings like Watermark and Ivanhoe Library and Cultural Hub, or Community Hub, and our sporting grounds. Schools that have new buildings actually attract more students. My son is a perfect example of this. He actually plays for the Research Lowell Plenty Baseball Club, and he chose that after he got to bat in the batting cage. It was a brand new batting cage. We opened the batting cage a few years ago, and he's just said, "Oh, Mum, this is really awesome. Can I please play baseball?" And well, the answer is yes, he could play baseball, that's fine. And he had to choose between that and basketball. So he stuck with the baseball, and he continues to play, and he's now playing in seniors as a 17-year-old. So it is absolutely true. That is just one example. It is absolutely true that the facilities, the improvement of the facilities, the best possible facilities do actually attract more participants. So for me, this is an absolute no-brainer to support this club for this item. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Castaldo.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Sharon for coming in this evening, and I am very supportive of baseball and the diversity of sport in Banyule, and so this makes it really difficult for me to vote against the recommendation before us this evening, and I'll explain that a little bit. That, however, given the massive cost escalation, and I've never seen one this big while I've been on this council, that we've shifted from a 30k cost to one that's massively escalated for what is effectively only a roof on a practice batting cage to avoid getting wet, practicing for an outdoor sport. It would be lovely to provide that additional works and a roof, but given the massive cost escalation, I think it's difficult for me to be supportive given the very large underlying deficit that we as council have in the coming year. And it's important that we exercise constraint now more than ever. And so for that reason, I can't support the massive cost escalation on this one. despite wanting to support baseball. So I think this is very difficult, and on this occasion, I can't support the recommendation coming before us.
Thank you. Further comment? I'll put that in the name of Councillor De Pasquale. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on. Did you want to say against? All those against? Councillor. Thank you. That is carried. We'll move on to item 6.1, North East Link Ring Road completion. Thank you, Sharon. You got your batting cage. Sorry, Michelle. We'll move on to the next item. Thank you, Michelle, for the North East Ring Road completion urban design and landscape plan council submission. We have one speaker, Michelle Jarvis, the current Citizen of the Year. So sorry if I.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
I'm speaking on behalf of Friends of Banyule, and I wish to thank Council for its detailed submission and leadership, and I'm so pleased that the Transport Planning team had the foresight to ask for an extension to make a thorough submission, a courtesy that NALP didn't give others. We support and have the same concerns regarding the integration of the Watsonia station into the project urban design and landscape plan, especially when I've been repeatedly told by NALP staff that this is outside the project scope. It's a clear failure that the Lid the Link or Stop the Split campaigns have not been heeded by NALP or local MPs who claim to represent their community's best interests. Read the recommendation number 2. I would also respectfully ask that Council's write to the state member for Ivanhoe and the state member for Eltham, as these electoral districts will also be impacted by these works. Further, the NALP UDLP has brutally failed the people of Watsonia, Greensborough, McLeod, Yallambee, Eubank, etc., but particularly Watsonia, with the severance of communities from each other, from sporting clubs, parks, businesses, public transport, while walking along the green bridges will be horrible, being metres above 10 lanes plus of heavy, noisy, polluting traffic. I've got a few other points, but I'll just get to the nub of it now, in that I am hoping, as suggested by Councillor Garocci on previous occasions, that community groups and advocates would welcome the opportunity to work more closely with Council on improving this project and this massive toll road project. Many thanks.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yep.
There are no more speakers. There are no changes to the recommendation. Looks for a councillor to move. Councillor De Pasquale, seconded Councillor Champion. Councillor De Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. So what we're voting on tonight is the council submission to the North East Link or the Urban Design and Landscape Plan. Our speaker this evening, Michelle, has been, hit the nail on the head, really. We have, as a group of councillors and the council, we have been getting updates from the North East Link along the way, and continually. It's quite, don't think the community understands. It's probably farcical when they do understand, but there was a big bubble over Watsonia. So we would get the plans of what's happening at the interchanges and the Lower Plenty area, and then it would come up Greensborough Road up to past the Watsonia Army Barracks, and we'd have all the design and be able to comment on that. But then on the plans there was literally a bubble which you couldn't see the Watsonia area, and that was okay. It's going to you'll see that when you'll see it, pretty much. That's the communication that we were getting. So There has been, and I think continually too, it's almost as if the community don't understand that, like, it's almost as if they think, well, why doesn't local government and state government work together and let's come up with the best solution for the Watsonia community and, you know, advocacy, etc. The reason why I point this out is because the council, and this council, is supportive of and has come up with the Lid the Link campaign. The campaign was actually a council campaign. So where it is failing is where the North East Link Authority and effectively the state government is not maybe wanting to put a lid on the link or not wanting to include the Watsonia train station in the project or even the car park next to the station. All these other facets that if they did, it would be such a better outcome for Watsonia. Now, I understand if there was an empty chequebook and us as Victorians, you know, didn't have the debt problems that we have and the taxation problems that we have, maybe the state government would say, okay, yes, let's develop the station, let's put in that car park, let's make sure that everything is linked up, let's put a lid on it, let's do the best for the community. So I understand there's that argy-bargy between what needs to be delivered and what will be delivered, because there are huge financial pressures at the moment where our community is under, but not only our community, our state is under that. So, so this urban design and landscape plan is for the Watsonia area as well. It's council has put in a submission. Members of the community, please continue to come to me, Councillor Garotti, and the other councillors if you see that there's something that has been missed, you want to put input. We're here to continue listening. Thank you, Mayor. Sorry for going over time.
No worries. Thank you very much. Any other further comments? Councillor Champion.
Very briefly, Mayor, most things have been said by our Speaker and the Ward Councillor, Councillor Mark. This is the first time I've actually spoken publicly about this particular project. First time I spoke about it was in November 2017 when it was announced that the link would, quite frankly, split Banyule in two, right up the guts. Hasn't changed. We're still talking about being split right up the guts. Essentially, both of you have spoken clearly and well about what needs to be done. I would probably add, could we please ask every single resident, every single business owner to please write directly to the member for Bundoora, the member for Eltham, the member for Ivanhoe. Write directly to them. Make their inboxes explode with what you want to see. Because we have continued to advocate so much, and we will continue to do that, but we have advocated so much for our communities, the businesses around this Lid the Link project. We support you, we agree with you, we want to see it as well. And I think the only thing left now is if every single resident and every single business operator actually writes to the three state members, to please Lid the Link. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? Councillor Neeling.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the officers for their work on this. I appreciate their detailed consideration on a very complex set of plans for a very significant engineering project. I note that their balanced consideration of all the areas of improvement in the design and continued advocacy is for the areas of weakness in the design. We all want a very good outcome, and with this detailed consideration by council, it's been worked through for 7 years. So there's been a lot going on behind the scenes for 7 years, all to get the best outcome for residents. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comment? I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to 230 to 232 Banksia Street, 96 Oriel Road, Belfield, and Redevelopment Precinct Amendment. There are two speakers. The first speaker is Billy Robuscus. Billy, thank you. You're speaking in favour of the motion and you have 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you. My name is Billy Robakis. Work for Urbis and we're representing Glenville on this project. This is the fourth time I've been here now, first time in person mainly because of COVID. This is an amended town planning application for the Belfield Precinct redevelopment on the corner of Oriel and Banksia Streets. Look, the primary considerations for this amendment are the key differences between the original permit, the consistency with the approved development plan, the high quality architectural response, the landscaping and tree retention, the car parking quantum and the apartment amenity and ESD outcomes on the site. As you are aware, the amended development plan was approved at a council meeting in August of this year with a condition to retain one of the trees, tree number 18, and lower the building height of one of the central buildings to 6 stories. So we've done that now, and that development plan was endorsed by council officers earlier this month. So importantly, the application before you now remains generally in accordance with that development plan. There is 385 dwellings across the site compared with the up to 400 allowed under that development plan. Plus an almost identical building footprint as is shown on the development plan. The amended application proposes a high-quality architectural response prepared by architects Rothy Lohmann. It's articulated, modern design with really good street setbacks and separation between buildings. There's a substantial additional canopy cover compared to what's there currently, a linear east-west link connecting Ford Park to the west, and deep soil and permeability as per the development plan. The proposal demonstrates a high degree of diversity in housing options across the townhouses and apartments, and excellent environmental outcomes. And lastly, I'd just like to say thank you to the officers for working so diligently with us through this process. It's been a long journey, but here we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Billy. Would you mind taking some questions? Councillor McKeon.
Good evening, and thank you for your presentation. You mentioned 2 things that the amended plan included. One was the protection of a tree, which I believe was not being protected previously. Is that correct?
Tree 18, it was being protected previously. It's just that it made it more explicit in this latest round to protect that tree.
Okay, so it was being protected.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so I don't see that that's necessarily an advantage. Sure. And you also mentioned that, if I heard correctly, a lowering of building heights. Did you mention that, or did I mishear you?
Yeah, so at the last council meeting in August, there was a proposal to increase the building heights. That was effectively one level was knocked off one of the towers on the western side of the site. So we've now responded to that as part of this application. It's effectively a 2-step application, a development plan, which was approved in August at this council chambers, and then this town planning phase. So this now corresponds with the development
Was it
plan.
not also part of the amended plan to increase building heights in proportions of the site? Could you speak to that, please?
Yes, so I guess we amended the development plan to increase some of the heights of the buildings to the west. So there's 3 buildings on the west, which are apartments, and there's townhouses to the east, sorry. We increased 2 of the building heights to the west as part of the development plan.
Could you say by how much, please?
So it was single level across 2 buildings. And so this is testing my memory a little bit. And then I think a single level on the middle as well, so each building by 1 level.
By 1 level, so from 6 to 7 metres? Was that correct?
Or 4 to 5 stories and 5 to 6 stories.
Okay, thank you.
No problems.
Thank you, Billy.
That's all. Thank you.
We have a speaker against, Alicia Curry. Alicia, would you mind approaching the lectern? Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Mayor, councillors, I appear again to speak against this development. It hasn't been a transparent process all up. There was no notification that this item was coming to council, and I think that's reflected that I am the only resident that is speaking against this, and yet somehow the developer was aware that this was coming and has sent a representative. Now, as some of the questioning from Councillor McKern has revealed, that actually the original plan, this is a shift from that original plan, and the original plan did have significant consultation, and this plan has had very little, and I would call it notification at the very maximum. Now, we see council deciding this because Glenville Homes is currently in a sale contract with council, and to my knowledge that payment hasn't been made. The permit was granted, so council are doing their dual roles as both the owner of the land and the permit approver as well. So you've heard my points on these. I disagree, because it puts council in a financial position where you are being pushed by the developer, and this is a developer-driven change. This has not been done with community consultation, and I feel terrible for the people that are in the surrounding areas that have not been notified and have not had clear opportunity to speak to this item. So we are seeing an increase in heights from 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. We've got a loss of the linear park, and also unaddressed was the climate change impact to this site, which I mentioned last time. This is a highly vulnerable site. From an index of 0 to 5, this is indexed at 4, and yet we are losing these. So questions, could you please tell me what the development levy is planning to pay for, if not for open space to support the increase in population in Belfield? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe there's a question. Councillor McKern.
Yes, I have a question for the Director of City Development. Director, we heard from the Speaker that there was substantial community consultation done in the preparation of the development plans for the site in the first instance. Can you describe what that consultation process was and how it compared with the consultation for the amended application?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I'm not personally over the detail of the very first development plan process, which preceded my time here at Banyule, but I can speak to the amended development plan process that just preceded. So that application for consent for the development plan is subject to public notice. We placed signs at the property, we sent letters out to nearby owners. I guess one of the important differences between the development plan application, which council previously determined, and this application currently before council, is that in the case of a development plan, all the consultation happens through the plan approval process. Then the subsequent planning permit is exempt from public notification, so there isn't an opportunity for community input at that point, and that probably explains the differences between the input the community has at the different stages in the process.
Can I ask another question? Thank you for that explanation, Director. Whilst what I've heard is that there's no requirement for extensive community consultation with the amended plans, there's nothing that stops this council either from perhaps going back to the people that originally consulted to inform them of the changes. Would that have been possible?
Through you, Mayor, it would be unusual for council to write upon the receipt of a planning application where the application is specifically exempt from public notice. The concern we would have is about an expectation that submissions being received would be considered as an objection to a standard planning permit application. Rather, that would be to the contrary. So the application, you wouldn't be able to lodge an objection, there would be no appeal rights, but yet you would be invited to express views to the process. It would be unusual. There's certainly nothing that would prevent council from informing people that an application was there, but we would then be in the position of having to explain to the community that they, however, couldn't actually provide a written objection to that application as they might with other categories. And so it's certainly not our custom and practice to do that.
Then would be the point of the public notification and notifying nearby owners regarding the amended plans, if indeed there wasn't that scope for feedback.
If you're asking that in the context of this planning permit application, we didn't write to them, so there's no purpose to that. But with the previous amended development plan request, we did provide that notice. We received submissions. I think many of them spoke here at the council meeting in relation to their concerns about that, and the council then approved the plan they were satisfied with at that meeting, which made changes to the current development plan approval that we have in place. Once that development plan's approved, the applicant's obliged to then follow it, and if they don't wish to follow it, then they have to seek a new development plan request. So I guess that's the process, is to get that submission up front when that development plan's being formulated, and the confidence the community has is once that's approved is you can't vary it without going through a whole new process.
Thank you. Is there any other further questions? Look for council to move a motion. Councillor Di Pasquale, seconded. Councillor Champion. Councillor Di Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this has been for a long time a very key strategic site for Banyule. It is pretty much as coming across the river. This is what many residents, but also those who travel in or from outside our municipality to within our municipality, have a look at examples of built form and development, etc. So over the years, this is probably one of the final pieces of the puzzle with regards to we acquired a couple of surrounding sites there, Mayor. They were old or sold off school sites, which we did develop, or had developers build housing on those, and they were delivered back to the community as examples of how this council not strategically does those developments, because we didn't do those developments, but made them possible for the community. And this is the final piece of the puzzle now, because the Belfield Community Hub is down there, supplying that community. It was normally originally on the corner of Oriel Road and Banksia Street. Had been there for many, many years. And now to have a purpose-built community hub there, which is serving many in the community, I think is absolutely fantastic. And this final piece in the puzzle is to develop this area appropriately. I have looked over the plans extensively, and I think it is appropriate. Across the road is Ford Park. I don't think the height levels are too high. I think there's a lot of diversity with regards to housing stock there. I think it will be quite a good community going forward in the years to come. So yeah, I'm happy to support this evening. I have listened to many in the community who have their reservations with regards to this, but having said that, we're in a position where we need to take both sides of an argument. We need to understand those who are for certain development in a community and appropriate development in a community, and those who are against that. We need to listen to both. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Further comment? Any other councillor? Councillor McCone.
Thanks, Councillor Neely. However, I won't be supporting this this motion this evening, and I won't be supporting it because I object. I object to the process in relation to community consultation and the amended plans. There was a wholesome community consultation procedure done in the first instance with the first plans. That process involved the developer. The developer had their opportunity to put their plans on the table and to talk turkey with residents. It was a wholesome community consultation process as far as I'm aware. I wasn't here for that that process either. But I was here and I heard residents speak to their objection and their dismay at not being consulted when amended plans were submitted to council by the developer to essentially increase the density by increasing heights. I would have thought, as a courtesy to all those people who put all that time into formulating a plan that they could live with, and we need to remember, council, that it's these residents who live in the area who have to live with the outcome, not Glenville, not our good representative tonight from Urbis. It's the residents in the area, and they are a vital part of the puzzle and getting it right. And it begs the question, how much do we take community consultation seriously if a developer can simply turn around and say, well, look, hold on, to make this work, I've now got to increase the heights. At a minimum, we should have gone back to those residents who participated in the first instance, and I am quite appalled that all we did was the mandatory public notice of 14 days and putting a letter in a few people's letterboxes. I will not be supporting this, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. The division has been called, so I'd like all councillors supporting this motion to stand in their chairs. Let the record show Councillor Champion, Councillor Miskaniskos, Councillor Castaldo, Councillor Malikan, Councillor Neely and Councillor Di Pasquale. All those against, Councillor McKern. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 6.3, Ivanhoe Grammar School Development Plan. There are three speakers. The first speaker is Alice Maloney. Is Alice here? Welcome, Alice. Thank you, Brian.
It's on the payroll. Thank you very much, councillors, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name's Alice Maloney. I'm representing Ivanhoe Grammar School. The previous development plan process was a different beast to this one. This one, that sort of sought to do a lot more heavy lifting than this in terms of getting the underground car park and the sports centre approved. This development plan is seeking just to fine-tune operations now that some of the buildings are in operation on the campus, and that includes seeking to increase the hours of operation of the sports centre, the rooftop courts and the swimming pool, and subsequently increase vehicle access in accordance with those hours of operation. There are also changes to the building envelope of the Senior Years Centre, which has been increased in height to enable a trafficable rooftop as a breakout space for students and staff. And there's a small infill proposed to the front of Loxley House to enable construction of storage for the drama and music department in there so they can keep their stage props, etc. We've had a really, I'd say, positive process in terms of community consultation, and the council officer's report does a really comprehensive job of underlining or outlining what has gone on, and we've agreed with the council officer regarding the changes to the hours of operation just to respond to some of the concerns from the residents. We don't consider there's sufficient car park. We consider that there is sufficient car parking in the area. Our traffic engineers have reviewed vehicle access and said it's appropriate, and we understand council's traffic engineers share that view, and it just enables further access of the facility by students and the community, which was deemed important by council previously. So thank you for your time. Unless there are questions.
Thank you, Alice. Are there any questions for Alice? Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Councillor McKern, did you have a question for Alice? Sorry.
Thank you, Ms Maloney. Thank you for your presentation. Of the community feedback that you've received, you're saying that it was a positive process. That's heartening. Yes. What do you think has been the most significant change to the proposed development plan in response to community consultation?
Just agreeing to reduce the hours of access, the hours of the swimming centre and the vehicle access accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our second speaker is Helen Frost, in person, who will speak against it. Thank you, Helen. I don't think your microphone's on, Brian. Can you? Thank you.
Is that better? Thank you for listening to me tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak. I also want to thank the officer from the council for their support and their explanation and their provide of documents so that we could have a look and understand what was being proposed. I respect Alice's submission and the report. On paper, it looks pretty simple. It doesn't look like a huge ask, an extra half an hour on the swimming pool centre, but I'm here to tell you from my heart as a resident of Russell Street, it's exhausting. I am woken every morning at 6:45 by traffic. We live in a quiet street. The traffic flies down the road, starting at 5:40, and goes on, wakes me every morning, 6 mornings a week. It's hard to go to work every day. That traffic does not stop until 10:30 at night and goes all day. When we moved, we had traffic, and I've lived in the house for 22 years. We had traffic in the morning with drop-off, and we had traffic in the afternoon with pick-up. But overall, it was a great place to live. I really question that now. This morning when I woke up, my first thought was, should I start moving into the spare room and sleep in the spare bed? Maybe the couch, that's further away from the road. And I thought, maybe heavier curtains. Should I do that? I'm here to speak to you. Who are we benefiting? This document says we benefit the community. Do we? By half an hour of swimming? How many students? At what cost to the residents of Russell Street? None of whom have come because we're all tired of the school. We feel powerless. We're reliant on you to hear us. This is a residential zone. It's not a commercial zone. No pool is open before 6 a.m. None. I searched it. I found one, to be fair, Burundara, on a main road surrounded by parkland. Not Russell Street. I don't know if you have any questions, but I'm here to tell you from my heart that it's a struggle.
Are there any questions for Helen?
Can I just acknowledge? I don't have a question for you, Ms Frost. We have spoken before. I just want to acknowledge and note what you've been saying and to say that I really feel for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one further speaker who's speaking against, Zoran Trimzinski, whose written statement will be read out by Mark Giglio, Director of Corporate Services. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. So, dear councillors, my key concern is that traffic congestion and community safety in and around Fairy Street, Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe Grammar School has elected to only open security gate 18A on Fairy Street whilst closing all other pedestrian gates, security gates in and around the sports facilities after 5:30 p.m. on weekdays and after 1 p.m. on Saturday, including the security gates on Merton Street, Elfin Street and Russell Street. This election to only open the security gate on Fairy Street 1 has caused vehicular and pedestrian traffic to be funneled through Fairy Street. 2 has created a new drop-off and pick-up location for the sports facilities on Fairy Street, and 3 allows users and visitors of the sports facilities to use Fairy Street as alternative parking option to the underground car park, limiting on-street parking for residents. Fairy Street is a narrow dead-end street with poor street lighting that requires all vehicles to complete an often dangerous U-turn to exit Fairy Street. The current access to sports facilities via Fairy Street has created a significant safety issue for the community with an increase in traffic and parking congestion not previously contemplated under the approved development plan in 2018 and which has not been properly considered in the proposed 2023 development plan. Under the 2018 development plan, the designated drop-off location for the sports facilities was specified as being Russell Street, as supported by the Transport Management Plan dated the 2nd of June 2023, which notes on page 31 that all drop-off pick-up traffic to be via Russell Street access, i.e. none via Fairy Street. By opening security gate 18A on Fairy Street, whilst all other security gates remain closed, Ivanhoe Grammar School has created a designated drop-off and pick-up point at Fairy Street. Any further increases to operating hours of the sports facilities and visitor numbers without changes to parking and traffic management in and around Fairy Street will have further and significant impacts to the local community from a traffic, congestion and safety perspective.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any questions from councillors? Look for a councillor to move. I believe there's an alternate recommendation. Councillor McKern.
Thank you. Can I just preface that this alternative has come about through reading all the reports, speaking to many residents, hearing what they have to say, and also looking at the development plans and what the school has submitted, and tries to create a balance, Mayor. In this amendment to the officer recommendation and motion that I would like to move, it resolves that the amended development plan for the Ivanhoe Grammar School at 41 The Ridgeway, Ivanhoe, be endorsed subject to amendments in accordance with Table 1 that is attached to the report, with the following further amendments. 1A, vehicle access from Elfin and Fairy Street be limited to staff access only, with all student and visitor vehicle access to be from Russell Street. Should be 1B, Ivanhoe Grammar School to manage opening and closing of the pedestrian gates on Fairy Street, commensurate with the requirement for no private vehicle drop-off, pick-up in Fairy Street. And what should be 1C, use of the swimming pool opening hours no earlier than 6 a.m. Monday to Friday, and consequential change to vehicle access hours. And 1D, the provision of a staggered setback to the upper levels, top 5.4 metres minimum of the senior building to reduce its visual bulk. Thank you, Mayor, and I'm happy to talk to it.
Move. Councillor McKern, is there a second for that motion? There is none. It will lapse. Councillor Costello. Councillor McKern.
Yes, further bits. Oh, I didn't finish. Okay, I am sorry. Motion 2, representatives continue negotiations with Ivanhoe Grammar School representatives with regards to community access to the pedestrian footpath connecting Merton Street to Russell Street Central Pathway. And 3, be provided with a report to a future council meeting with an update in relation to the discussion in point 2 within 12 months. Thank you.
Move. Councillor McKern. Is there a second for that motion? Councillor Costello. Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's being asked to endorse a new development plan for Ivanhoe Grammar School to replace the existing. Now, this development plan is a requirement of the Development Plan Overlay Schedule 4 of the Banyule Planning Scheme that sits over the site. Why has this development plan come to council? What is it proposing? Historically, development plans are brought to council due to the level of interest from the public and for the reason of public transparency. Development plans are an important means of receiving community feedback on proposed developments. Once adopted, limited additional community consultation is possible on the development plan. The new development plan, as mentioned by the first speaker, addresses a number of changes, including but not exclusive to revised opening hours for the sports centre and pool and revised vehicle access to surrounding streets and increased height to the proposed senior years building, as well as removal of some trees. That said, it is important to note, as has been pointed out, that the school does sit in a residential zone, general residential and neighbourhood residential. It is essentially surrounded by a lot of low-density residential buildings, and we need to understand that because it is an absolute must requirement of the decision guidelines of the DPO4 that educational facilities like this do integrate with their surrounding community. That is a requirement of the planning scheme. What we need to note, though, that this is not a planning application. Elements of this development plan, when the school wishes to realise them, will need to go through the planning application process. And the plans, in my understanding, will have to come to this council for endorsement. And at this point, Mayor, I might seek your permission to get clarification from the Director as to what that looks like in relation to plans that arise from the development plan come to council for endorsement. Is it a requirement or is it something this council does? How does that look and how would it work?
Do you want to finish your commentary and then we can ask a question at the end of that?
I can do that, Mayor, sure. So we have, in trying to balance needs between school and community, tried to alter these hours of opening of the pool in particular to be commensurate with pools in the surrounding area. All of Banyule Council's pools open at 6, not 5, not 5:30. And in relation to the increased building height that's proposed, we're looking at a staggered setback to try and contain it. Should an application come to council, I would hope that we'd be a lot more rigorous in terms of our request from that application. And at this point, Mayor, I would ask the Director of City Development if she can speak to the planning application process in relation to plans that are forthcoming from the development plan. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. I guess similar to the item that we've also just considered this evening in Belfield, with planning applications that come as a consequence of the development plan, it's normal custom and practice for us to table them at a council meeting for consideration. In our view, it increases the transparency of the decision-making process. For this site, as it was with the site in Belfield, the consultation's done at the development plan stage, and there isn't an opportunity then for further community input after that stage, and so we bring those matters back to council so that the community can see the tangible outcomes of the implementation of those development plans.
Thank you, Director. And is it correct then that should an application come to council for endorsement, that that's an opportunity for the community to have a say?
There's no direct opportunity for the community to have a say because that notice is exempt. Again, it goes back to the same issue with the Belfield application. We can't advise the community of the application being available for comment because they can't lodge an objection to it. Absolutely would be no reason why anybody couldn't request to speak to it as an item that's on the council agenda, though. Absolutely.
Thank you. Councillor Costato, comment? Any other councillors would like to? Councillor Di Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think I really got to express my confusion with regards to what I've heard tonight. We've got one speaker from Russell Street, I believe, who's fed up with the amount of traffic going down the street at such early times of the morning, waking her household up. And then we have recommendation saying that Fairy Street, which is another access to the location, should not be used, and that the access should be via Russell Street. So I'm very, very confused with regards to which way to go on this decision tonight, Mayor. I've looked through table 1 as it is in the notes tonight, and table 1 has changes for access and time and exemptions, etc. But I'm just at the moment, I think I need a bit more information to make the correct decision. Thank you, Mayor.
I think it's appropriate if we give Councillor McKern the opportunity to explain the outcome of the recommendation that she has proposed tonight.
Firstly, thank you very much for expressing your concern, Councillor Di Pasquale, and I'd like to explain, and I'm sorry that I didn't make it clearer. Russell Street is the access street to reach the underground school car park. So what we're talking about here is funneling cars through to the school's underground car park instead of parking on street in Fairy Street. And I might just say, Councillor Di Pasquale, that the school, when it submitted its transport management plan as part of its application, actually stated that all drop-off pick-up traffic to be via Russell Street access, i.e. none via Fairy Street, is what the school's transport management plan actually recommended. I hope that clarifies your concerns.
Thank you very much. Are there any further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour of the amended recommendation, please raise your hand. Against? That is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to the draft Banyule Public Realm Strategy. There are no speakers. There is there is a motion in the papers. Can I have someone please move a motion? Moved Councillor McKern, seconded Councillor Neely. Councillor McKern.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor. This strategy aims to improve the design and management of our public open spaces, providing a guide and greater coordination for open space design and delivery. I'm interested to see what the outcomes of this strategy will be. I'm not convinced as yet, but I'm hoping that as the process unfolds, it becomes clearer, as I believe design is an iterative process which changes, morphs and improves with each version, each project that we undertake. So it'll be interesting to see how we try to pull it together, a process for our public realm strategy that is coordinated and consistent in delivery. And therefore, I think it's very important, Mayor, that we build in a monitoring and review process to ensure that we have formal processes that provide an accountability to the design progress if indeed we're going to go down this path of a public realm strategy. So a set of performance indicators to evaluate purpose, endeavours, effectiveness and continued relevance of this proposed strategy is what I'm seeking, because we need to be able to measure our outcomes in order to inform the design management process and make adjustments to future projects. To that end, I would be suggesting a few alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment? I'll put that. All those in favour? Oh.
Yeah, I seconded it.
Sorry, Councillor
Neely. I think I did second it, but... All right. This strategy is an overarching plan to bring a whole of council approach for an activated and sustainable public space. And I wanted to mention this particularly post-pandemic. Residents appreciate and rely on accessible urban public space. These spaces are about protecting the environment as well as social and cultural events. It's sports events as well. They've always been important to everybody. However, the lockdowns simply highlighted it, or maybe potentially increased the desire for, more activated shared spaces. Council has looked at the features of the changes from our parks and ovals and community centres and emerging priorities from this. And I look forward to an innovative public realm outcome that will emerge. Also increasing the consultation past the Christmas period will allow more community to give their meaningful feedback, which we appreciate. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, and sorry for not asking you. Any further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 7.1, 7 Wellington Street, Montmorency Community Hub Expressions of Interest Outcome. There is one speaker. Michelle Jarvis, still the Citizen of the Year.
That one. Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, not on any of the community groups that I've a part of, although I've consulted widely with them. Generally, there is genuine goodwill and support. Thank you. Generally, there is goodwill and support for the Green Hills Neighbourhood House to be the operators and preferred provider of the new Neighbourhood House community resource. All the community wants is the best shared outcomes and for well-established and or long-standing community groups to be considered as stakeholders and also to be considered in the sustainable design and fit-for-purpose retrofit that will be needed. My personal hope is that Green Hills will work with the new Monty Community Hub Board, the new Monty Community Group, the Monty Community Group and the Monty Biodiversity Group to help bring the new spaces to life at both 7 Wellington Street and Petrie Park, and that Council will continue to invest in both. And to have a safe, welcoming and free, low-cost places to meet and organise, and also to be able to store equipment and consumables, and not have items scattered in garages and homes and therefore not readily accessible to be shared and used. The initial signs are good for this to occur, but also Council needs to consider the name of 7 Wellington Street, currently being the Monty Hub, which is in direct competition with the group establishing itself at Petrie Park and previously located on Mountain View Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Are there any questions? Look for a councillor to move a motion. Move Councillor Champion, seconded Councillor Neely. Councillor Champion.
I'll look just very briefly, Mayor. Thank you very much to the applicant, Green Hills Neighbourhood House. Looking forward to working with you, and thank you also to the officers who went through this process to find an operator for the site. So we are looking forward to working with you on this, and concur too with the speaker's thoughts, comments. It's another community location for people to connect, and looking forward to hopefully connecting people within Green Hills Neighbourhood House as well as other community groups that are very vocal and very active and very passionate in the area. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Neely.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make mention of Green Hills Neighbourhood House. They are such a valued provider. They connect with the community in so many important and meaningful ways. They've been operating for 40 years. The previous Mayor, Councillor Castaldo, and I, we went to their 40th celebration and just really celebrated all the volunteers and staff and past volunteers that have worked there. As post-lockdown, the demand for food relief was an example of the kind of work that they did. They weren't set up for it. They didn't have a really big kitchen. They don't really have all the resources to provide food relief, but somehow they managed to, and they did. And you know, it's alarming to hear that food relief is in demand in the Greensboro area, and it is continuing to grow. And that's why these community houses, they're on the ground knowing what's happening, and without any hesitation helping people. The Montmorency area will truly benefit from this experience, particularly from well-organised staff at Green Hills like Janelle Dunstan and Sarah Willits. They go above and beyond the hours that they're required to be there just to meet community needs. So excellent opportunity for Montmorency residents and supporting groups. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? I'll put that. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor Castaldo.
I'd just also like to acknowledge the tremendous work that Janelle and Sarah and the rest of the team at Green Hills have done. Visiting the site the other week, you just saw how good a connected community they are, with a lot of history. So I think that Montmorency has a great future ahead of it if we have those operators bring their collective skills to this site and be part of the Montmorency Activity Centre, which is really going to benefit from this. And I think it's tremendous work from all those that participated and got it to where it is today.
Thank you very much. Further comment? I'll put that. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 7.2, the response to the community infrastructure opportunities at public schools. Notice of motion. There are no speakers. There is a council recommendation. I'd look for council to move as per the papers, or Councillor Castaldo had a slight amendment.
Yep, a small amendment. Part 1, 2 and 3 as is, I believe it, and 4 notes that partnerships with non-government schools will also be explored where there is an identified community need and community infrastructure gap. 5 and 6 as is, so moved.
Move, Councillor Costello. Is there a second for that motion? Councillor McKern. Councillor Castaldo.
Yeah, I think this is a really important motion that was put before us. Councillor Garotti put this one to look at opportunities to leverage off state government funded schools and their assets so that the community can benefit from it. And we've identified 2 important pieces of infrastructure that could contribute to our community, both the Banyule Community Theatre and also some indoor courts for netball, basketball. Now, the amendment speaks to the opportunity that there is in other schools as well, not just public schools. There are a lot of assets in Banyule that aren't fully utilised yet, and I think we have an ever-increasing demand from our community for assets to increase participation in sports, arts, everything. I'd like to explore all the opportunities. I don't want to get in the way of the intended motion that Councillor Garotti put forward, which was to improve the quality of experiences for public school students, but there are other opportunities to broaden it, and that's what I put forward on the amendment, small amendment tonight. Thank you, Councillor Mayor.
Thank you very much. Are there further comments? Councillor McKern. Any other comments? Councillor Miskiniskos.
One day. Thanks, Mayor. As the Hordern Ward councillor, I'm happy to see that Viewbank College Stadium is on the list, and also Banyule Theatre as much needed spaces to meet future population needs by 2041. Back in 2022, Councillor Neely, who was the mayor then, and the CEO and myself met with Viewbank College about the opportunities at Banyule Theatre for community use for our youth. For those who haven't been to Banyule Theatre, it's a great space for potential multi-use but it does need a big facelift. It's, looking a bit tired, but it's a great space. And we also discussed with Principal then, she had a wish list as well, which was to have a priority for a space where the kids could play basketball in all weather, get them out and about, enjoying stuff. So it's good to see that that these are both on the list, because they are definitely needed. And thank you. Oh, and also I wanted to say sorry, thanks to Councillor Gorotti for his original notice of motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further comment? Councillor Neely.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just briefly, look, we've got our 2 officers from the Arts and Culture team that would probably really welcome the opportunity to have access to the Banyule Theatre. The joint user agreement examples in the report show the benefits that partnerships can have to deliver to the community. So, the benefit of this notice of motion from Councillor Gorotti is that it highlighted we're revisiting the need for facilities in the View Bank and part of Heidelberg area, because it's in Heidelberg, is that right? Yep. The Banyule Theatre. So it's a great opportunity for a collaboration, and that's why I support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? I'll put that in the name of Councillor Champion. All those in favour? That is carried. We'll move on to item 9, notice of a motion. There are no notices of motion tonight, so we will move on to general items of business. And we have a few. Who would like to start us off? Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight I have sad news. We've been saddened by the news that Ivanhoe resident John Walkley passed away recently. On behalf of our councillor group, we extend our deepest sympathies to John's wife Bronwyn and their family, and to the very many people who were John's friends and who knew John as a passionate and hard-working advocate for the local communities of Eaglemont and Ivanhoe. John was president of Eaglemont Stationers and Friends of Eaglemont Village. He played a significant role in the community of Eaglemont Village, and Councillor Castaldo will speak to that further. And he inspired members of our community through his dedication to supporting Eaglemont Village. He published a newsletter that went out to over 180 people every week, and he led by example, advocating for and frequenting not only the village but other causes in southern Banyule, getting his hands dirty on working bees, clearing weeds and litter, and planting new plants, many of which he propagated from seeds and cuttings himself. John led a team of volunteers gardening once a month at Ryder Cheshire Homes in Ivanhoe, and weekly heart health walks around the area, even though he'd had 2 hip replacements recently. John Walkley was the kind of man every community needs. His energy and passion for the village, for Ivanhoe, for Banyule and its community and environment have inspired many to become involved. His presence was a large part of the village in particular, and he was welcoming, friendly and caring. John will be sorely missed by all who knew him, and we hope that his good work is carried on by the local residents he guided and inspired. Thanks, Mayor.
Yes, very sad news. Thank you for that. Any other further items of general business? Councillor Castaldo.
I'll just follow on from Councillor McKern. It was a sudden and shocking passing. We've just heard about John Walkley. It's a great loss to both his family and the broader Eaglemont community and Banyule. He worked with great determination and an unwavering force to explore every opportunity to contribute to the village and that community. So it is with great sadness that we mention him this evening, and very sad. I'll just move on to a couple of other items on a lighter note. That I'd just like to congratulate the new mayor. and welcome him to chairing tonight's meeting for his first one this time. This is your third or fourth time as Mayor, so congratulations. It's nice to hand over to a steady pair of hands like yourself. And to Deputy Mayor Rick Garotti, who couldn't be here this evening. I'd also like to acknowledge the Croquet Club turned 110 years on the weekend. We celebrated that event. A wonderful club with over 60 active members that participated on the day. Made everyone feel welcome. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the great work that Sustainable McLeod did to create the Clean Energy Expo, which was also on the weekend, that showed the community just how they can make a difference and work with clean energy and deliver good outcomes for our community. I'd also like to acknowledge that we've just had the Malahang Festival as well, and that was a tremendous day for our community. The last day for me as Mayor in the community. Sad but a beautiful event for me, and I'd just like to thank everyone that contributed to that event. Every year it grows. Our officers that are here present today were leading in that, and I'd just like to acknowledge that every year we have that festival, it changes, and I think it's wonderful to see us not just stick with the same old thing, but continue to look at opportunities to bring exciting things to our community. And that's a wrap for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Champion, you had 2 items, I believe.
Thanks, Mayor. I do have 2 items. Last Thursday, the 16th of November, I was privileged to attend the service of the institution of the Reverend Yvette Daniel as the Vicar of the St Margaret's Anglican Church in Eltham, and it was directed by the Archbishop. Yes, I know Eltham's over the border, but this is a parish, and we're part of the parish. The newly appointed Reverend hails from Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK, so for her this is a really great opportunity of a career and a lifetime. She chose to come here. She comes highly recommended by her career mentors in Newcastle in the UK, and the St Margaret's community and local parish very excited to welcome in their new vicar, and I'm pretty sure she started this week. So the service on Thursday was taken by the Right Reverend Brad Billings, who's the Bishop of the Oodnadathong Episcopate, and the service was assisted by the church wardens and the parish councillors. So it was a privilege to be invited to this and to attend this, and also to see some of my fellow residents as well. Okay, one more from me. Yesterday, the Montmorency Traders Association brought a little bit of automobile history and lots of joy to Weir Street with their Rockabilly car show. So this was a car enthusiast's paradise with classic cars on display from one end of the street to the other. There were Fords, Holdens, Jags, Mercs, Volkswagens, Chevys, Valiants, Buicks, Lotuses, all from the last 100 years of motor vehicle ingenuity. There were bench seats, no seat belts. There were left-hand drives and right-hand drives, white-walled tyres, polished timber dashboards, suicide doors, no air conditioning, no CD players or computer chips in most of the cars. They were polished immaculately. Their engines, you could actually fry your egg off the engine and eat it off. They were sparkling. There were sparkling shiny bumpers. There were collectible badges. There were convertible hardtops. There were Venetian blinds and lots of heritage plates. Now, the 2 most classics could arguably have been the Dillinger Dodge, with its dark, seedy mafia history. Just Google that, Dillinger Dodge. As well as the 1970s punch buggies. I say arguably because everyone has passionate and knowledgeable opinion about what is a classic and what isn't. And they were all being expressed vehemently on Sunday. There were also future classics on display, as well as others that you could buy if you have approximately $70,000 in your pocket and you wanted to pull that out and pay for those. So they are actually a great investment. All right, so we talk about property being a fantastic investment. Classic cars are an investment. So if you can get one at a good price, do so. So if classic cars weren't your thing on the day, there was rock and roll dancing, there was live music in the Pocket Park, there was a DJ, there was fairy floss, there was slot car racing. There were lots of shops open to entertain, feed and clothe you throughout the event. Weir Street was full. You actually genuinely could not get a park in Weir Street because the street was closed off. There were so many residents and visitors of all ages, across all generations and from around Victoria. And we were very blessed with a beautiful, sunny, warm day. So thank you to all who made this so memorable, especially to the Montmorency Traders Association for creating the perfect community event. And we're looking forward to the next Rockabilly Car Show. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Neely, you had a general item of business?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge a Beale Ward Banyule resident. Her name is Karen Longmuir, and along with her husband Stephen. On the 14th of November, Karen attended the Victorian Awards ceremony for the Australian of the Year 2024 in the category of Local Hero of the Year. She was one of 4 finalists from a field of 3,000 plus Victorians who were nominated for the 4 categories. Although she did not win, one of the judges approached her and told her that they all thought she should have a category of her own. So what I'm reading below is the biography that the Australian of the Year Committee wrote about her. Karen Longmuir and her husband Stephen have provided care and love for more than 400 children over the last 39 years. Karen is the proud foster mum of babies, children, teenagers in need, regardless of background, disability, race, religion or gender. Karen, who has 2 biological adult children, was inspired to become a carer after reading a flyer about fostering at a local community fair. After the first experience was a success, she continued, sometimes looking after up to 7 children at a time. The couple has continued to foster children even after Stephen was badly injured in a work accident a decade ago. So now in her 70s, Karen's days can include nursing babies through drug withdrawal, doing school drop-offs and taking kids to sports and community events. Some children only stay for a night while others have stayed for their entire childhoods, so many still come back to visit. So that was what was read out. A local resident, I haven't met Karen Longmuir before. A local resident notified me of this. Her name is Anne Marshall, and she just added a few words that Karen and her husband Stephen have never discriminated against any child or family for any reason. They are a shining beacon of light in our community, of inclusive care, love and integrity with grinding hard work. How many people will ever meet in our lives who have directly influenced, loved and nurtured over 400 children, their families and our community? They inspire us all with their lovely, down-to-earth attitude, kindness and optimism. I feel so strongly, especially at the moment in this grim time of war overseas, that people like the Longmuirs should be acknowledged and commended publicly by our community, not only because of all they have done and do, as that was acknowledged last couple of weeks ago at the awards ceremony, but also because I think so many people like me are inspired to try a bit harder because they are heroes. There are heroes like them in the world. So they were. Anne was hoping that council could acknowledge one of our local residents. I think that's quite amazing.
Thank you very much. No other... Councillor Champion?
I could just expand on that, if that's all right. I actually do know Karen and Steve, the Longmuirs. They are the most beautiful people. And the reason I know them is one of their foster children was in the same cohort as my first son, Nicholas, at Montmorency South Primary School. So I would see them in the playground. They would do school pick-up and drop-off often. We'd have a conversation. And yes, they have been fostering children for many years. It's what they do. They love it and they have a lot of love to give, and there are many, many children who are blessed for having been either risen through their childhood or raised through their childhood by Karen and Steve, or even part of their childhood. Sometimes they're only just, they have babies and they just sort of essentially keep the babies alive. I know that sounds really blunt, but that's what they do for several months, and then the babies move on to another family. So they deserve, I don't know what they deserve a lot more than an award. They are beautiful people and we are very blessed to have them in our communities.
Thank you very much. I'll just add a few odds. I did attend the car show, and I think the car show was fantastic. Not that I'm a car person, of course, but I do remember my youth when I used to think they were pretty cool, but it was fantastic. And it also just highlighted what a great job you've done at Montmorency. The new public square, the new toilets, the whole streetscape really made it a much welcoming place, and it was beautiful to be there on the day, so it was wonderful. And also must apologise to Fiona Misniskos. I have tried and tried and tried, and I promise before the next meeting I will get it right. I'm very sorry. But I'd also like to, last Friday I attended the launch of the innovative and inspiring immersion therapy program at Watermark in partnerships with Belgravia Leisure and Determined 2. The world's first immersion therapy program offers the freedom of movement within a weightless underwater environment using scuba equipment. Underwater participants with a wide range of disabilities and injuries who find it difficult to walk on land can walk, swim and even dance with participants, reporting improved movement, reduced pain and enhanced mental and physical health after their sessions. The program initiated in Adelaide, where it would benefit people living with anxiety, autism, depression, MS, spinal cord injuries, amputations, soft tissue issues and a range of other conditions. It is now expanding to other states, with Watermark being selected as the first site to introduce it, which is a great opportunity for the Banyule community. And Paul and his wife, who started this program from Adelaide, were super impressive, and yes, it was great to be there and listen to some of the experiences of the people that have tried it so far at Watermark, and very inspirational to find out what some people do achieve. And I'd also like to pass on a big hello to Calvin Chalmers, who was featured in The Age a couple of weeks ago. Calvin turned 96 2 weeks ago, and to mark the occasion, the Banyule Bug organised a ride where they rode from Heidelberg to Mont Albert, 15 kilometres, where they had some cake and some coffee, and then Calvin rode back again with them. So he started riding after his wife died, unfortunately, when he was in his 80s, and he continues to ride 3 or 4 times a week, right up to 96. So he's inspirational, and yes, I couldn't attend the morning tea, but it was a great day by all accounts, and I'd like to pass on our best wishes to Calvin from the Banyule Council, and to continue to ride. It just shows you that when you get old, you don't stop riding. When you stop riding, you get old. Remember that. So with that, we have a couple of public questions, and the first one's a very good one. Not that they're all not, but the first one. I'd like to welcome Rowan, and you are here. I can see you're here. So would you like to get up and read out your question, please, Rowan? Oh, you can read it out if you like. That'd be good. Yes. Thanks, Rowan.
Thank you. Can Banyule Council please advise how many of our members will be affected under the new state government granny flat regulations when they reside under the following covenant/overlays? Single dwelling covenant, like the one at Mount Igor Estate, the single building covenant, like at the Glenard Estate, also the heritage overlay and the NRZ3 zoning.
Thank you, Rowan. Would the Manager of Direct City Development please like to respond?
Thank you for your question, Rowan. There are no changes proposed in the state's housing reform to the requirement for council to consider restrictive covenants as part of permit assessments, or for owners to have regard to restrictive covenants that apply to their land. The permit exemption to construct one dependent person's unit on a lot applies to properties in the neighbourhood residential zone. However, the exemption has not been included in the heritage overlay.
Thank you very much. We have a second question, and the person that submitted that has not asked to be anonymous, so that question will not be read out. And the response and the question and response will be in the council minutes. So we move on to the end of the meeting. The next meeting of council will be on the 11th of December. Thank you for your attendance tonight, and hope to see you. And we close the meeting at 9:24. Thank you very much.